All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, there's growing sentiment in the NFL to ban the tush push, but it does not have enough steam at the moment to get the necessary votes. And because of that, the league has agreed to table it for now. Now, there needs to be 24 votes in the room to get the tush push ban. Right now, it's at 16. And of course, we all know that this is the brainchild of the Green Bay Packers. Now, critics such as Buffalo Bills head coach Sean McDermott have come out and talked about player safety, which to me in itself is a joke because first and foremost, uh, to hear it from Sean McDermott and his Bills with Josh Allen at quarterback run it almost as much as the Philadelphia Eagles do. Okay. Not only that, the NFL talking about player safety is about as hypocritical as they get because, again, this is the league that has a Thursday night game every single week on the cusp or on the heels, rather, of a Sunday game for these teams from the week before, traveling to Europe for games just to come back and play again, you name it. Okay. So I said this before, I will say it again, and I will continue to stand by this. Do not, and I repeat, do not get mad at the Philadelphia Eagles for perfecting this play. Instead, get better at stopping it. Because my whole thing is this: if teams were better at stopping it, you know what? The Eagles wouldn't do it with as much frequency. And then on top of that, not only that, but we've seen a lot of teams around the NFL who have attempted their version of the tush push. And guess what? It doesn't work. I've seen some teams out there that have actually gotten negative yardage consistently on their version of the tush push. At the end of the day, don't be mad at the Eagles because they're good at what they do. Okay. You look at it and I factor it like this: when it comes to sports, regardless of the level, there's something that is very demoralizing to an opposing team or an opposing player when you know that a play is coming and you simply can't do anything to stop it. And that's basically where a lot of Philadelphia opponents find themselves at the current moment. They know the tush push is coming, they can't do a thing about it. Whereas a lot of teams, like I said before, that have tried to do it cannot perfect it. So, with that said, they've got more than half of the votes now. They're at 16. They need 24 in order to ban this play. And it makes you wonder if the tush push will soon become a thing of the past. And I think it will, because when we first heard the reports that this was something that the Packers were pushing for, I thought it was going to have life, but I didn't think it was going to have this much life. And you're talking about at this point, within less than one full off season, that we're up to 16 votes. I guarantee you, the next time that this thing comes up for a vote, it's going to be close to 24. It might not be 24 exactly, but again, it appears to be growing sentiment in the room. And like I said before, these talks about player safety, is a joke from the NFL because the NFL really can care less about player safety. All right, that's just my 2 cents on it. On top of that, from these NFL meetings, more changes to the overtime rules, as each team is now going to be guaranteed a possession in the 10-minute period. My question is, and I will stand by this. Some people, you can call me a dinosaur, old man, get off my lawn, whatever. But should the NFL go back to the sudden death period? I think so. Because you look at it like this. Once upon a time, the NFL, wanted to add more excitement to the overtime rules because saw teams win the coin toss, drive down in the field goal range, kick the winning field goal, and walk off with the game. The other team didn't get a chance to possess the ball. My thing has always been this: defensive players get paid in the National Football League. So what do you do in a situation like that? You go out there and you make a play to stop your opponent. That's number one. Number two, with some of these kickers in the NFL, it's not exactly a guarantee that these guys are going to go out there and make these kicks. And my thing is this: I'm going to come at this from a couple of different angles. If you want to have a situation where both teams get a possession, go back to 15 minutes, okay? Because 10 minutes, is basically, it's not going to guarantee that both teams are going to go out there and be able to get a possession, depending on how long that initial drive goes. Okay, that's just my thought. And then again, if we're talking about player safety, you know what? You should say the first team to score in overtime wins, as opposed to, everybody getting a possession, because now you're going out there, you're on the field more, potential risk of injury. I'm just saying, okay, more hypocrisy in my book from the NFL. We're talking about changes to the kickoff rule as the ball is going to be placed now on the 35-yard line on touchbacks from kickoffs. Still going to be in the 20 for punts and stuff. But this is more of an incentive to teams to not kick the ball into and out of the end zone. And the thing is like the NFL is continuing to tinker with the sauce on their kickoffs. We don't have the gunners, running, down the field. You don't have the wedge block. A lot of that has been eliminated for player safety, if you will. But it's just one of those things. I think what the NFL is trying to do, they're trying to take violence out of a violent game, and it's easier said than done. So, I mean, it's one of those where, again, putting the ball on the 35, I think it's something to incentivize teams to try to find a way to kick the ball in play because they want more kick returns. But at the same time, nobody wants to kick the ball out. Nobody's going to want to kick the ball out of the end zone right now because you figure if a team gets the football at the 35, basically with two or three first downs, they're in field goal range. All right. Nobody is going to want to take that chance. No changes as of yet to the onside kick rules, but will that change at some point? Um, I know that you can't line up your whole team on one side like you did once upon a time on that onside kick, but I think the biggest thing for me is not allowing teams to go for the onside kick prior to the fourth quarter and they have to declare it. I think that is in itself an absolute joke. And the thing is like if the NFL really truly wants excitement on every play, don't have teams declare their onside kick. And I mean, honestly, since they changed the rules a couple of years ago, as far as not allowing teams to line up everybody on on the kick return on one side of the field, yeah, the injuries have gone down, but also the execution rate, if you will, on the onside kicks has gone down as well. Like I said, the NFL they just simply want excitement on every play and basically every day of the week. We've got Sunday on lock. In the falls for the National Football League. The same thing can be said for Monday night. They've dabbled into Thursday night, and they're very successful with their Thursday night. And of course, now they're cutting into the NBA's territory, if you will, with Christmas Day. And of course, last year's Christmas Day doubleheader was a success as their two games on Christmas Day up against five games from the NBA. It wasn't even close as far as the NFL, who dominated the ratings that day. Of course, they had a Christmas Day doubleheader on Netflix, which will now be a Christmas Day triple header with two games on Netflix and, of course, one more on Amazon. And I got news for you. The NFL, they're not stupid, okay? Because it's not just about putting three games on Christmas Day now. It's going to once again be marquee teams. Last year, we saw four teams on Christmas Day that all ended up in the playoffs. all had winning records at the time of facing off on that day. We had Ravens, Texans, and of course, we had Chiefs, Steelers. And I guarantee you, the folks in the NFL lab are hard at work making sure, hey, they're going to give you three games with marquee teams once again for 2025 on Christmas Day. Like I said, the NFL simply continues to be a runaway freight train when it comes to making money, and there seems to be no sign of this slowing down. And at the end of the day, this league is going to continue to hemorrhage cash. That's the bottom line. You've got a room full of billionaires. I'm sure Roger Goodell, he has a pretty good net worth, as far as being the front man for all of those billionaires in that room, and he's going to continue to do what they want him to do for as long as they want him to do it. And again, Roger Goodell went from a guy where, you know what, we're only going to give him one more contract. You know what, let's bring Roger back for quite some time. And the reason is Roger Goodell's a front man for the NFL. He continues to hemorrhage cash, and he helps this league hemorrhage cash. You figure they've got international games. They've got television networks and streaming platforms fighting each other for the rights to televise games. And at the end of the day, the gift of football just keeps on giving to them. But when it's all said and done, the tush push is still here for now, but how long remains to be seen. But folks, that's going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. If you like what you heard on here, please feel free to like this podcast. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365, and you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.